It's me, Poppy Reading here, coming to you with a new video. Today's video, we will be reading the next story in the classic spooky stories. The next story is Fiddlefingers. Captain Brassbuttons hummed happily and tapped his feet to a lively tune on board the pirate ship, the Jolly Jig. Every now and then he would stop to stroke his bushy beard and laugh loudly while he watched some of his cutthroat crew dance to hornpipe. Around him, other pirates played pipes, tambourines, and accordions. The sound drifted up from below deck to a sinister skull and crossbone flag waving high on the mast. "Look lively, lads! Ha ha ha!" bellowed Captain Brassbuttons, who was really enjoying himself. So were his loyal hands of buccaneers, although they were armed to the teeth with pistols and cutlasses. The weapons were now next to useless and rusting badly. You see, the pirates preferred to make music and have a merry time. After all, raiding ships and carrying off their treasures was hard and dangerous work, which was one of the reasons why they had not done it in a very long time. There was another reason, too. These days, the Jolly Jig and their crew spent most of their time at the bottom of the sea, for the Jolly Jig was a ghost ship, and Captain Brassbuttons and the colorful crew were ghost pirates. "'Tis a pity we don't have a fiddle player among us, Captain," said Patch one day, as he rested a monument against the ship's big wooden wheel. "To be sure," sighed Brassbuttons. "That would be more of a treasure than all the booty we've ever bagged. But that's enough fun for now, me hearties," continued Brassbuttons, "for 'tis high time we made ready to set sail again." "Aye, aye, Captain," said Patch, and in no time the crew were cheerfully busying themselves. They hauled on ropes, unfurled, and ghostly white sails, and made ready to raise their phantom ship above the waves. Meanwhile, Captain Brassbuttons hurried to his cabin to put on his best boots, waistcoat, and hat. A short while later, the Jolly Jig rose majestically from beneath the waves to haunt the high sea, which it did whenever the moon was full. Go play. Passengers on passing ships would stare in amazement at the sight of the fantastic phantom ship. From its glowing decks came the sound of music and merry voices as the creepy crew sang and played. What's more, the ghostly ship was thought to bring good luck to all who saw it. But that was about to change. The night as the moon faded, the Jolly Jig sank again to its watery grave. But next moment, a strong undersea current swept the ghost ship along. Brassbuttons and his men were horrified. All they could do was hang on grimly while the Jolly Jig did its own wild dance. At last, the ship settled in soft sand, and its shaking crew floated out from their hiding places. "Shiver me timbers!" uttered Bones. That was enough to set any ghost a-quaking and shaking. Captain Brassbuttons drifted up on the deck to check the jolly gig was still in one piece. As he did so, he spotted the wreck of another old vessel nearby. "Ahoy, me hearties!" Brassbutton called his men and pointed eagerly. This time to go a-pirating again. "We're with you, Captain," cried the crew, trying to sound more fierce and frightening than they felt. Soon the pirate raiding party set off into a longboat, rowing just above the seabed toward the wreck. The battered ship lay on its side, with a huge hole in the hull. An octopus came scuttling out. Some sharks swam past, too, eyeing the pirates coldly. "We'd all be shark bait if we were flesh and bones," whispered Pigtail. "Stand by to board," growled Brassbuttons, leading the sea spooks onto the ship. He was first to enter the crew's quarters. There was a terrible noise coming from a dark corner, which made his knees knock and his shoulders tremble. "Who goes there?" he called, trying to sound brave and fearless. Then the captain saw a phantom figure laying in a hammock, fast asleep, uttering deep, throaty snores. To Brassbutton's surprise, he saw there was a fiddle resting on the sailor's chest. Brassbutton poked him with his cutlass, and the sailor woke with a start. "Why are you, gasped the sailor. "We might ask the same of you," replied Captain Brassbutton. "The crew called me Fiddlefingers, seeing as I was always playing this fiddle. And the sailor, I've been stuck here, all alone, for more years than I can remember. The others abandoned ship before it sank, but I was playing a tune on my fiddle at the time, and didn't hear their warning. A fiddle player, you say? Then 'tis good fortune we found you," boomed Brassbuttons. However, the captain and his crew soon changed their minds. No sooner had they welcomed Fiddlefingers aboard the jolly gig than he began to play his fiddle. But what a shock for the other merrymakers, for instead of the tuneful harmony they had so been looking forward to hearing, he made a fearful scratching screech. It was the most terrible sound the phantom pirate had ever heard. Yet strangely, Fiddlefingers didn't seem to notice. He went on playing happily as the other pirates winced. "Go play." "Go play." "No wonder the rest of the crew fled," grumbled Bones, his bony fingers in his ears. But rough and ready as he seemed, Captain Brassbutton was really a kindly soul. He felt sorry for Fiddlefingers left for so long without any ship's company, and he didn't have the heart to send him on his watery way again. So that gloomy day spelled doom for the sorry spooks aboard the jolly gig. There was no more laughter, dancing, or merry music. Instead, all that could be heard when the ghost ship next appeared beneath the full moon were the woeful wails, horrified howls, and ghastly groans of her poor suffering crew as they tried to drown out the sound of the awful fiddling. As for Fiddlefingers, he just smiled happily and played on and on and on. The end.